Alright, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to our new episode of Deadmen Plays, and today we're going to be playing something a little bit off the beaten path. We're going to be playing the Stanley Parable. This game... I don't know if I can explain exactly what this game is. I barely know what this game is. This particular Let's Play brought to you by the power of Mountain Dew. No. Anyway, the Stanley Parable is a very humor-driven game that, without spoiling anything, is sort of a parody of some genres, but also experiments with the idea of how much a game will let you get off the beaten path or how restricted other games can be. But I haven't played this before, and I'm trying to keep my reactions to this as real as possible. So if I am not talking through the entire thing, or if it feels like I'm being a little quiet, then that's probably why. But I'm hoping this will be a great experience. I've been kind of a bad mood lately. Things with the site have not been going as well as I would have hoped. Videos are backed up, technical problems galore, and I really needed something to put me in a good mood. And I'm hoping that playing this game is going to help out quite a bit. So let's give this a shot. End is never, the end is never, the end is never. Loading, interesting. Loading, rawhide. Radar, rock 'em dead, loading screen, rawhide. And we just lost like 5 subscribers. This is one of those things you don't plan for in Let's Plays. It's just like, you never know when loading screen is just going to rear its ugly head. And you can get stuck for a decent amount of time. See, if I was a logical man, then I would have just been completely silent through this point and cut out this segment in post. But what would the fun in that be? No, I'd rather just make a joke out of it and just monologue my whole way through the loading screen. 'Cause that's what I want to do. That's my choice to make. Potentially not the smartest choice in the world, but my choice to make regardless.
This is the story of a man named Stanley. Stanley worked for a company in a big building where he was employee number 427. Employee number 427's job was simple. He sat at his desk in room 427 and he pushed buttons on a keyboard.
Looks like they didn't have Mavis Beacon in this universe.
Desk, telling him what buttons to push, how long to push them, and in what order. This is what employee 427 did every day of every month of every year. And although others might have considered it soul-ending, Stanley relished every moment that the orders came in, as though he had been made exactly for this job. Stanley was happy.
A perplexing narrative.
And then one day, something very peculiar happened. Something that would forever change Stanley. Something he would never quite forget. He had been at his desk for nearly an hour when he realized that not one single order had arrived on the monitor for him to follow. No one had showed up to give him instructions, call a meeting, or even say hi. Never in all his years at the company had this happened, this complete isolation. Something was very clearly wrong. Shocked, frozen solid, Stanley found himself unable to move for the longest time. But as he came to his wits and regained his senses, he got up from his desk and stepped out of his office.
So we're seeing the beginning of gameplay right now. So I actually do really like the art style of this whole thing. It's a very, I can't remember what it's called. I mean, I just like the idea of coming up with a creative way to actually do this sort of office space kind of look to everything. Everything's very still, very cold. And as you can tell, like a good chunk of this game is going to involve our reactions to our narrator and how we choose to interact with those decisions.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Where is this meeting room? Door must be locked. Let's try this way. See, it's interesting it's so hard to find the meeting room, and I'll explain why probably later, but as you can imagine, there are multiple...
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
Ooh, this is the tough one. I'm going to try actually to see what this game is like playing it somewhat straight. So I would assume the game wouldn't be necessarily boring if you played it according to the rules. This game's got quite a few endings, though.
Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office, hoping he might find an answer there.
Huh. Oh, I love the subtext of this game and the corporate atmosphere and all that. It's just refreshing. Everyone is unique. You most of all. What could it mean?
Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
I'm actually curious what's in the boss's office. Regardless of how I choose to play this, let's see what we find.
Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. Shocked, unraveled, Stanley wondered in disbelief who orchestrated this, what dark secret was being held from him. What he could not have known was that the keypad behind the boss's desk guarded the terrible truth that his boss had been keeping from him. And so the boss had assigned it an extra secret PIN number, 2845. But of course, Stanley couldn't possibly have known this. Yet incredibly,
Or
by
could
simply
I?
pushing random buttons on the keypad, Stanley happened to input the correct code by sheer luck.
What a
Amazing.
coincidence.
He stepped into the newly opened passageway.
Oh, there's a big passageway. As we travel down to the depths of hell, we return to our loading screen of death.
Descending deeper into the building, Stanley realized he felt a bit peculiar. It was a stirring of emotion in his chest, as though he felt more free to think for himself, to question the nature of his job. Why did he feel this now, when for years it had never occurred to him? This question would not go unanswered for long. Stanley walked straight ahead through the large door that read Mind Control Facility.
And so I did.
The lights rose on an enormous room packed with television screens. What horrible secret did this place hold?
Is this the
Stanley
Robot
thought to
Chicken set?
himself. Did he have the strength to find out?
Yeah, these all Robot Chickens all just come into my head. Cameras. Press.
Now the monitors jumped to life, their true nature revealed. Each bore the number of an employee in the building, Stanley's co-workers. The lives of so many individuals reduced to images on a screen, and Stanley, one of them, eternally monitored in this place where freedom meant nothing.
Huh. It's like a Truman Show kind of thing.
This mind control facility, it was too horrible to believe. It couldn't be true. Had Stanley really been under someone's control all this time? Was this the only reason he was happy with his boring job? That his emotions had been manipulated to accept it blindly? No. He refused to believe it. He couldn't accept it. His own life in someone else's control? Never! It was unthinkable, wasn't it? Was it even possible? Had he truly spent his entire life utterly blind to the world? But here was the proof. The heart of the operation. Controls labeled with emotions. Happy, or sad, or content. Walking, eating, working. All of it monitored and commanded from this very place. And as the cold reality of his past began to sink in, Stanley decided that this machinery would never again exert its terrible power over another human life. For he would dismantle the controls once and for all.
By pressing buttons. Pressing one of these buttons. Something's got to do it. Oh, that's interesting. The idle noise, like the noise of clicking something with your mouse when you have nothing else to click, is actually the sound of a click of the keyboard. Pressing rapidly? Maybe it's supposed to be a metaphor about how really free we really are. Let me press the 5. Where's the 4? 3. 1. 2. Alright, so it has a reset thing, so I do have to find the 4. Where are you, 4? I know you're hiding around here somewhere. So I go and press 3, it's gonna reset, probably. Nope, gotta do the 5. I ain't doing nothing. There's 4. Very isolated. It's very often. It's not very often you get a game that actually just like lets you embrace the quiet. That's actually kind of a fascinating idea in and of itself. It's, you know, you see so many games that are constantly using like minimal Unity engine stuff and like Steam Greenlight or whatever. But like this game like is a definitely clear example of how you don't need a bunch of crazy bells and whistles to make a quality game. Like very much so. 3. 2. What the? How do you shut it down? Where's facility power? Oh, okay. That's how we do it. Briefly lost there. Sorry
And
about
when
that.
at last he found the source of the room's power, he knew it was his duty, his obligation, to put an end to this horrible place and to everything it stood for.
I turned it off. The game crashed. I thought the game crashed there for a second. Like that was the point.
Blackness and a rising chill of uncertainty. Was it over? Yes. He had won. He had defeated the machine, unshackled himself from someone else's command. Freedom was mere moments away. And yet, even as the immense door slowly opened, Stanley reflected on how many puzzles still lay unsolved. Where had his co-workers gone? How had he been freed from the machine's grasp? What other mysteries did this strange building hold? But as sunlight streamed into the chamber, he realized none of this mattered to him, for it was not knowledge or even power that he had been seeking, but happiness. Perhaps his goal had not been to understand, but to let go. No longer would anyone tell him where to go, what to do, or how to feel. Whatever life he lives, it will be his. And that was all he needed to know. It was perhaps the only thing worth knowing. Stanley stepped through the open door. Stanley felt the cool breeze upon his skin, the feeling of liberation, the immense possibility of the new path before him. This was exactly the way, right now, that things were meant to happen. And Stanley was happy.
Huh. And we load once again. I think that might be it. End is never, the end is never. The end is loading. But is it truly loading the end? Are we actually at the end? Is actually the cut and dry path the only way to go? Interesting. The game actually does immediately put you back here, which...
But Stanley simply couldn't handle the pressure. What if he had to make a decision? What if a crucial outcome fell under his responsibility? He had never been trained for that. No. This couldn't go anywhere except badly. The thing to do now, Stanley thought to himself, is to wait. Nothing will hurt me. Nothing will break me. In here I can be happy forever. I will be happy. Stanley waited. Hours passed, then days. Had years gone by? He no longer had the ability to tell. But the one thing he knew for sure, beyond any doubt, was that if he waited long enough, the answers would come. Eventually, someday, they would arrive. Soon, very soon now, this will end. He will be spoken to. He will be told what to do. Now it's just a little bit closer. Now it's even closer.
Oh my god.
Here it comes.
And we load screen again. So, I think that's actually another ending I clicked by accident, is just choosing to not exit the room at all. So as you can tell, I chose the baseline normal choice for the beginning here.
Stanley knew the office layout like the back of his hand. It was only a matter of time before he found the others, wherever they were. Just a matter of time.
And I wanted to look at the main follow the directions ending, even as short and boring as it may have been, because I wanted to use that as a baseline for the other options that we're going to get into here. Let's see where else this thing will take us.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
All right, now let's see what's going to happen.
This was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it.
Hey, look, the employee lounge.
Ah, yes, truly a room worth admiring. It had really been worth the detour after all, just to spend a few moments here in this immaculate, beautifully constructed room. Stanley simply stood here, drinking it all in.
Or maybe I didn't.
But eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left.
Or not.
Stanley was so bad at following directions, it's incredible he wasn't fired years ago.
So yeah, the construction yard kind of area. Warning, do not jump from the cargo lift while it's in motion, will cause death. Penalty for misuse of cargo lift, $5,000. Penalty from jumping off the cargo lift, $5,000.
Look, Stanley, I think perhaps we've gotten off on the wrong foot here. I'm not your enemy, really, I'm not. I realize that investing your trust in someone else can be difficult, but the fact is that the story has been about nothing but you all this time. There's someone you've been neglecting, Stanley. Someone you've forgotten about. Please, stop trying to make every decision by yourself. Now, I'm not asking for me, I'm asking for her.
For her? What could that mean?
Isn't it, Stanley? Your chance to redeem yourself, to put your work aside, to let her back into your life. She's been waiting.
Oh boy.
That's her, Stanley. You need to be the one to do this, to reach out to her. If you can truly place your faith in another, then pick up the phone.
Oh, Stanley, is that you? Hold on, sweetie. Sorry to keep you waiting. I'm just pulling the bread out of the oven. All right. Okay, there we go. All right, now, I want you to come in and tell me all about your day.
What the?
Gotcha. Oh, come on. Did you actually think you had a loving wife who'd want to commit their life to you? I'm trying to make a point here, Stanley. I'm trying to get you to see something. Come inside. Let me show you what's really going on here.
What is really going on here? This is getting weird.
This is a very sad story about the death of a man named Stanley.
Oh my god. Good morning, employee 427. Plus E on your keyboard.
Stanley is quite a boring fellow. He has a job that demands nothing of him, and every button that he pushes is a reminder of the inconsequential nature of his existence. Look at him there, pushing buttons, doing exactly what he's told to do.
So I'm seeing...
Now he's pushing a button. Now he's eating lunch. Now he's going home. Now he's coming back to work. One might even feel sorry for him, except that he's chosen this life.
It's almost, hoping some of you guys are getting the pattern here and the metaphors.
But in his mind, he can go on fantastic adventures. From behind his desk, Stanley dreamed of wild expeditions into the unknown, fantastic discoveries of new lands. It was wonderful, and each day that he returned to work was a reminder that none of it would ever happen to him. And so he began to fantasize about his own job. First, he imagined that one day while at work, he stepped up from his desk to realize that all of his co-workers, his boss, everyone in the building had suddenly vanished off the face of the earth. The thought excited him terribly. So he went further. He imagined that he came to 2 open doors and that he could go through either. At last, choice. It barely even mattered what lay behind each door. the mere thought that his decisions would mean something was almost too wonderful to behold.
Interesting.
As he wandered through this fantasy
something's
world,
going on here.
he began to fill it with many possible paths and destinations. Down
Something's
one
starting to
path
change
lay
a
an
little
enormous
bit.
round room with monitors and mind controls. And down another was a yellow line that weaved in many directions. And down another was a game with a baby. And he called it the Stanley Parable. It was such a wonderful fantasy, and so in his head he relived it again, and then again, and again, over and over, wishing beyond hope that it would never end, that he might always feel this free. Surely there's an answer down some new path, mustn't there be? Perhaps if he played just one more time.
Sometimes being on the nose isn't necessarily a bad thing.
But there is no answer. How could there possibly be?
Man.
In reality, all he's doing is pushing the same buttons he always has. Nothing has changed. The longer he spends here, the more invested he gets, the more he forgets which life is the real one. And I'm trying to tell him this, that in this world he can never be anything but an observer, that as long as he remains here, he's slowly killing himself. But he won't listen to me. He won't stop. Here, watch this. Stanley, the next time the screen asks you to push a button, do not do it. You see? Can he just not hear me? How can I tell him in a way that he'll understand that every second he remains here, he's electing to kill himself? How can I get him to see what I see? How can I make him look at himself? I suppose I can't, not in the way I want him to. But I don't make the rules. I simply play to my intended purpose, the same as Stanley. We're not so different, I suppose. I'll try once more to convey all this to him. I'm compelled to. I must. Perhaps, well, maybe this time he'll see. Maybe this time. And I tried again, and Stanley pushed a button. And I tried again, and Stanley pushed a button. And
What's going on? Oh, I died by pressing a button. That's an interesting path. It's like, in general, you can see the overall metaphor about, the monotonous way that, you follow game's directions, or, comparing and contrasting these kind
all
of...
his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
It does make you curious where else you can go. I know there's other crazier endings, and I think the last one we just got definitely is one of the more philosophical. I've liked the endings we've had so far. I know there's some other crazy ones we can get. I'm just curious what we want to try.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, this was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it.
See if there's another path we can take from non-taking direction, and then we'll try something else from there.
Wow. Yes. This room. What a beauty, but eager to
There's
get
one
back
if you
to
wait
business,
there, but I don't,
Stanley
that's a little
took
bit
the first
boring.
open door on his left.
And let's say we go back to the meeting this time.
And so he detoured through the maintenance section, walked straight ahead to the opposite door, and got back on track.
Or we take the elevator down. Or let's just try going back on track.
Yet there was not a single person here.
Okay,
either.
it truly is back on track.
Feeling a wave
Okay.
of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office. Hoping he might find an answer coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
Let's go downstairs this time. see what we got. There's a car down here.
But Stanley just couldn't do it. He considered the possibility of facing his boss, admitting he had left his post during work hours. He might be fired for that. And in such a competitive economy, why had he taken that risk? All because he believed everyone had vanished? His boss would think he was crazy. And then something occurred to Stanley. Maybe, he thought to himself, maybe I am crazy. All of my co-workers blinking mysteriously out of existence in a single moment for no reason at all? None of it made any logical sense. And as Stanley pondered this, he began to make other strange observations. For example, why couldn't he see his feet when he looked down? Why did doors close automatically behind him wherever he went? And for that matter, these rooms were starting to look pretty familiar. Were they simply repeating? No, Stanley said to himself, this is all too strange. This can't be real. And at last, he came to the conclusion that had been on the tip of his tongue. He just hadn't found the words for it. I'm dreaming, he yelled. This is all a dream.
Of course.
What a relief Stanley felt to have finally found an answer, an explanation. His co-workers weren't actually gone. He wasn't going to lose his job. He wasn't crazy after all. And he thought to himself, I suppose I'll wake up soon. I'll have to go back to my boring real-life job pushing buttons. I may as well enjoy this while I'm still lucid. So, he imagined himself flying and began to gently float above the ground.
Holy crap.
Then he imagined himself soaring through space on a magical starfield, and it too appeared.
Holy
it was
crap.
So much fun, and Stanley marveled that he had still not woken up. How was he remaining so lucid? And then perhaps the strangest question of them all entered Stanley's head. One he was amazed he hadn't asked himself sooner.
Which question?
Why is there a voice in my head dictating everything that I'm doing and thinking? Now
Yes,
the voice
why?
was describing itself being considered by Stanley, who found it particularly
Oh my
strange.
god.
I'm dreaming about a voice describing me, thinking about how it's describing my thoughts, he thought. And while he thought it all very odd and wondered if this voice spoke to all people in their dreams, the truth was that, of course, this was not a dream. How could it be? Was Stanley simply deceiving himself, believing that if he's asleep, he doesn't have to take responsibility for himself? Stanley is as awake right now as he's ever been in his life. Now, hearing the voice speak these words was quite a shock to Stanley. After all, he knew for certain, beyond a doubt, that this was in fact a dream. Did the voice not see him float and make the magical stars just a moment ago? How else would the voice explain all that? This voice was a part of himself too. Surely, if he could just... He would prove it. He would prove that he was in control, that this was a dream. So he closed his eyes gently, and he invited himself to wake up. He felt the cool weight of the blanket on his skin, the press of the mattress on his back, the fresh air of a world outside this one. Let me wake up, he thought to himself. I'm through with this dream. I wish it to be over. Let me go back to my job. Let me continue pushing the buttons. Please, it's all I want. I want my apartment, and my wife, and my job. All I want is my life exactly the way it's always been. My life is normal. I am normal. Everything will be fine. I am okay. Stanley began screaming. Please, someone, wake me up. My name is Stanley. I have a boss. I have an office. I am real. Please, just someone tell me I am real. I must be real. I must be. Can anyone hear my voice? Who am I? Who am I? And everything went black.
I keep getting the dark options.
This is the story of a woman named Mariella. Mariella woke up on a day like any other. She arose, got dressed, gathered her belongings, and walked to her place of work.
Oh my god.
But on this particular day, her walk was interrupted by the body of a man who had stumbled through town talking and screaming to himself, and then collapsed dead on the sidewalk. And although she would soon turn to go call for an ambulance, for just a few brief moments she considered the strange man. He was obviously crazy, this much she knew. Everyone knows what crazy people look like. And in that moment, she thought to herself how lucky she was to be normal. I am sane. I am in control of my mind. I know what is real and what isn't. It was comforting to think this, and in a certain way, seeing this man made her feel better. But then she remembered the meeting she had scheduled for that day. The very important people whose impressions of her would affect her career, and by extension, the rest of her life. She had no time for this, so it was only a moment that she stood there, staring down at the body. And then she turned and ran.
Interesting. So in a way, we're kind of, there is an actual fluxed narrative here. We're getting pieces and pieces of it, all dependent on which direction that we go. In this case, you know, they mention things like from other endings in different ones, even if we don't know them all immediately. For instance, how we learned of the wife in this one.
Co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to
Even
go
if
to the
we've
meeting.
heard about the wife from
Perhaps
the
he had
other
simply
campaign.
missed a memo.
Let's see how else we can take this. What other directions do we have we can
When
take?
Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
Alright.
Yet there was not a
We went
single
straight
person
through.
here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office, hoping he might find an answer there.
No, we've already been down.
Coming to a staircase,
Let's go
Stanley
up.
walked upstairs to his boss's office.
It's a panda getting shot. That's not helpful. We haven't been here before. Let's call the elevator. See where this takes us. Gotta love that music. Very careful. I think you can actually even hear the narrator counting along. Yep. You can hear it. That's funny. I'm going up quite a ways. I'm just gonna cut that part out of the Let's Play. Figure out where that phone's ringing from. That sounds like a thing to do, but there's no other way to access it from what I can see.
Good morning. Thank you for contacting the Future Happiness Foundation. We are confirming your shipment of 1,327 cardboard boxes to your place of work. Can you verify that this is correct? Excellent. Your order will arrive shortly. Thank you again for contacting the Future Happiness Foundation.
Well, I guess we're gonna get some cardboard boxes. Yippee for us, I guess.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors,
Alright, so now I'm gonna
he
take the
entered
wrong door.
This was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it. The lounge was sublime, a work of art. What was it about this room that called so deeply and so personally to Stanley? Its grace? Its subtle charm? No. Stanley knew it was something deeper. Something darker.
Just gonna see what happens if we wait here. So I'm gonna give it a second or so.
Yes, really, really worth it being here in the room. A room so utterly captivating that even though all your co-workers have mysteriously vanished, here you sit looking at these chairs and some paintings. Really worth it.
Yep. Look at those paintings.
At this point, Stanley's obsession with this room bordered on creepy and reflected poorly on his overall personality. It's possible that this is why everyone left.
Oh, narrator's just being mean now.
Stanley sat around waiting for more dialogue, but when a long time had passed and there was no more, he decided that the game was trying to send him a message.
Calling your bluff, game. I got time. I can wait. So we're waiting for that dialogue here. It's an interesting phenomena because I want to keep this game as fresh as possible, but also cross my fingers and don't do anything too stupid. If you're watching this in the recorded stream, then I've already gone down one path that ended up accidentally being the same path over and was cut from the play, so that stuff does happen. But I'd like to think that maybe they are actually smart enough and the game is bluffing with us, and if we wait here long enough there will be a dialogue that comes up, but oh, do I not want it to be one of those where it's like 20 minutes later and dialogue shows up. But you know, part of me really doesn't want to give up. I don't know. It is like I said, it is a strange phenomena. It's just it's a meta game, almost like you're trying to out meta the meta. It's so strange. This whole game is just mind games. Like I said, I cannot tell if the game is trying to trick me and tell me that there really is no meta past, no ending past this, or how long is. It's really interesting. I'll tell you what. I'm gonna move on now, but if I find out that there is one, we're gonna come back and do it. And I'll edit it right where this would have left off. Just kind of slap it in that spot. So we will go ahead and do that.
But at last, he'd had enough of the amazing room and took the first open door on his left to get back to business.
We're going to go forward again.
Stanley was so bad at following directions, it's incredible he wasn't fired years ago.
Jump off of this.
But in his eagerness to prove that he is in control of the story and no one gets to tell him what to do, Stanley leapt from the platform and plunged to his death. Good job, Stanley. Everyone thinks you are very powerful.
Oh, that is just the death play. Son of a gun. See what else we can try.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Okay, there's the phone. Is the computer turned off? That computer's turned off. I don't know if that leads to anything. I hate Mondays. Yeah, I like the fact this game does encourage you to kind of just unravel the secrets of it all.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
Now, I could not find a way off the path once I went left.
This was not the correct way to the meeting room,
off.
and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it.
So pass through the
Standing
lounge.
now in this incredible room, Stanley for the first, but eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left.
Not following
Stanley was
directions
so bad at
again.
Following directions, it's incredible he wasn't fired years ago. Look, Stanley, I think perhaps we've gotten off
All
on
right.
the wrong foot here.
So
I'm
not
not
plunging
sure-
to my death.
Really, I'm not. I realize that investing your trust in someone else can be difficult, but the fact is that the story has been about nothing but you all this time. There's someone you've been neglecting, Stanley. Someone you forgot.
I got an idea.
Please, stop trying to make every decision by yourself. Now, I'm not asking for me, I'm asking for her.
So he's got the whole wife thing going on.
Your chance to redeem yourself, to put your work aside.
I
to
got an
let
idea.
her back into your life. She's been waiting.
So now this time through, I know the wife's not real.
Sir Stanley, you need to be. Oh, no, you can't. Did you just unplug the phone?
There we go.
Now, that wasn't supposed to be a choice. How did you do that? You actually chose incorrectly? I didn't even know that was possible. Let me double check. No, it's definitely here, clear as day. Stanley picks up the phone. He's taken to his apartment where he finds his wife, and the two pledge themselves to one another. Music comes in, fade to white, roll credits. Not picking up the phone is actually somehow an incorrect course of action. How is that even possible? None of these decisions were supposed to mean anything. I don't understand. How on earth are you making meaningful choices? What did you... Wait a second. Did I just see... No, that's not possible. I can't believe it. How had I not noticed it sooner? You're not Stanley. You're a real person. I can't believe I was so mistaken. This is why you've been able to make correct and incorrect choices. And to think I've been letting you run around in this game for so long. If you've made any more wrong choices, you might have negated it entirely. It's as though you completely ignored even the most basic safety protocol for real-world decision-making. Or did you not grasp the severity of the situation? Well, I won't have that kind of risk on my watch. I'm going to stop the game for a moment so we can educate you properly on safe decision-making in the real world.
Oh,
Please
jeez.
observe this helpful instructional video.
Choice. It's the best part of being a real person.
Oh my god.
If used incorrectly, can also be the most dangerous. For example, in this scenario, a hypothetical real person named Stephen has a choice. He could spend years helping improve the quality of life for citizens of impoverished third world nations. Or he could systematically set fire to every orphan living in a 30-kilometer radius of his house.
Oh my god.
Which choice would you make? Remember that unlike here, the real world makes sense, and at no time should you make a choice that does not conform to rational logic. If you find yourself speaking with a person who does not make sense, in all likelihood, that person is not real. Allow the person to finish their thought, then provide an excuse why you cannot continue talking. Turn to a partner and practice saying, "My goodness, is it 4:30? I'm supposed to be having a back, sack, and crack."
What the hell?
Excellent. Making choices on a regular basis is the best part to a healthy decision-making process. Most medical professionals recommend making at least 8 choices per day. Do you make more than 8? Less? And finally, If you begin to wonder if your choices are actually meaningful and whether you'll ever make a significant contribution to the world, just remember that in the vast infiniteness of space, your thoughts and problems are materially insignificant, and the feeling should subside. At this time, your instructor will guide you in an exercise to test and reinforce the material covered in this video.
Ah, welcome back. You may have noticed that this room has begun to deteriorate as a result of narrative contradiction. But not to worry. Now that you're properly informed on good decision-making, we're going to revisit a choice you made just a few minutes ago and see what the correct thing to do would have been. This way, please.
Okay, so I'm back down here. I have to cross this. I have to... I have to go here.
Now that we know your choices are meaningful, we can't have you jumping off the platform and dying. Imagine the main character dying senselessly halfway through the story. That story would make no sense at all. We just need to get you home as soon as possible before the narrative contradiction gets any worse.
Oh my gosh.
Unfortunately, it seems this place is not well equipped to deal with reality.
Let's see what we got.
Almost there. You'll take the door on the left, back to the correct ending. The story will have
Oh my
resolution
gosh.
once again, and you'll be home free in the real world.
Let's see what's gonna happen here.
Now remember, all you need to do is behave exactly as Stanley would. That means choosing responsibly and always putting the story first. I'm quite sure you'll be up to the task. Just follow my lead and you'll be fine. All right. When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
Oh my god, I don't know what to do. Screw it.
No! Why did you do that? Quickly, hurry back in the other direction. Perhaps we're not too late.
So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Oh, that's some weird numbers. So it seems like this off path. It's like literally the whole thing's crumbling around and doing everything. Now I have to take this path.
Oh, it's ruined. I can't believe after everything we talked about that my story, you've destroyed my work. Why? For what? What did you get out of that? What did you think was so special about seeing the game undone, left here like so much garbage? Well, it's worthless now. And what am I supposed to do? Even if there were a way to continue, would it be worth it? To know that my story is now incorrect? How can I go back to that? I can't erase that knowledge. I'll have to live with it forever, reliving its impossibility forever. I couldn't live that way. Is it better to shut the game down entirely? To willingly destroy all of my work? I don't know. What's the answer? What do I do? What do I do? What do I... No, I have to. I have to shut the game down. I have to.
What the?
I have to.
What's going on? What's going on? Where the heck am I?
I'm here. I'm still here. Here in this pile of rubbish. With you. You. Who thought you were so clever. Now look where we are. My entire game is destroyed. It was the only thing in the world that was mine, and you've run it into the ground. What, did you think that would be funny? You just had to see? Didn't I impress upon you how important it was to be like Stanley? He actually knows how to do what I tell him to. He understands that if I say to do something, there's a damn good reason for it. That thought hadn't even occurred to you, had it? That there's a world outside of you? You're a child. Oh, my story. If you'd just gone through the door on the left, you would have seen it. There was a whole underground facility. You would have destroyed it and been victorious. It would have been so perfect. I worked so hard on it. I tried so hard.
What's going on?
Behave exactly as Stanley would. That means choosing responsibly and always putting the story first. I'm quite sure you'll be up to the task. Just follow my lead and you'll be fine. All right. When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
Now, I think that's part of the reset, so I think it's safe for me to take the door in the... Decisions. Let's see if it's got to be this far in and going to the left. I'm assuming it'd be different.
Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office, hoping he might find an answer there.
If I go down
Coming
now...
to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
Oh, it's different now. I can't go down. Which means this is different. That's not changing anything.
Stepping inside his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. Shocked, unraveled, Stanley wondered in disbelief who orchestrated this, until he saw the door with a voice receiver next to it. Surely behind this door lay all the answers to his questions. And beyond all probability, he knew the passcode. He had seen it on his boss's computer just last week. Night Shark 115. Was this the code to open the door? Would it still work? There was only one way to find out. Stanley had been trained never to speak up, but now he would draw from within himself the courage to face the unknown. He drew a sharp breath and then spoke the code.
And spoke the code.
Stanley spoke the code. Night Shark 115. He spoke it into the receiver, right there on the wall.
Yep, can't click it.
I'm sorry, is there a problem? You didn't mishear me, did you? Please speak the code into the receiver. Otherwise we can't get on with the story. This is a crucial step.
Night Shark 115. It'd be really interesting if it was...
Fine, you're not gonna do it, but you know what? It's pretty humiliating to bring you this far, only for you to suddenly decide you have better things to do. I asked you for this one single thing, for your respect. The kind of respect Stanley shows for his choices. He knows what it means to take a story seriously. If you didn't want to see what I had to show you, then why did you come here? You had a choice, you know. You could have gone through the door on the right. You could have done whatever the hell you wanted over there. Why did you come this way? Speak. Say something to me. Explain yourself, you coward. When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
What the hell?
Stanley? Hello? Are you... Is everything okay? Stanley, please. I need you to make a choice. I need you to walk through the door. Are you listening to me?
Thank you for playing the Stanley Parable.
Can you hear me? Is everything all right? Stanley, this is important. The story needs you. It needs you to make a decision. It cannot exist without you. Do you understand me? Whatever choice you make is just fine. They're both correct. You cannot be wrong here. We can work together. I'll accept whatever you do. I simply need you to take that step forward, please. Choose. Do something. Anything. This is more important than you can ever know. I need this.
Interesting.
The story needs it. So, you hear me? Are you there? You listening to this? Stanley, are you there? Okay. It's okay, I can wait. You need time to decide. Time to make sure your choice is correct. That is the best choice. That's all right. I'll wait for you to decide what's the right thing to do. Take as much time as you need.
What the heck? So we got the credits ending, which is interesting. And so, yeah, I guess that's gonna be episode 1 of the Stanley Parable. So weird. I don't think there's much more I can do in just pure exploration. Everything else past that's at least gonna require me looking up how to go a certain way. Maybe I'll bring a guest on next time who's played this before, but interesting first impression, and it definitely is kind of a nice experiment in the way that we look at how we make choices in games, the relationship between the developer and the player, and so on and so forth. And I know there's still so much more I haven't done in this game yet, but, you know, I'm just excited to find out, and I'm hoping you guys are too. If anything else, it's cheered me up a little bit, and this has just been a fun little experiment in some weird game. Until next time, my name is Ken Johnson from Deadmen Plays. Keep a look. Be sure to like and subscribe, and check out more of our content at deadmen-inc.com. Deadmen-inc.com. Links and all of our stuff in the below. And also, feel free to check out there. There'll be some information on my book, The Man Who Watched Batman Volume 1, as you'll see over on the side of the screen over this way. And there'll be more information on that there. So I will talk to you later. Thank you guys, and I'll see you next time.